Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Gas Shocks, home of the 116 Trophy, a 120 Coupe Cup, Hoddy Tyres. Find the best tyres for your vehicle with top brands to keep you covered in every season and under every condition. And Tarox Brakes, the art of slowing down. Precision engineered in Italy for ultimate performance. You can find the details of all our sponsors in the show notes. I'd like to introduce the Backseat Driver, a fine young fellow who currently is in one of my favourite parts of the world, deepest Austria. Chris Allsop, better known as the biker Granddad, who, for various reasons, has decided it's time to hop on board his BMW F800GT and go many, many miles touring Europe. So, Chris, from Austria, welcome to the Backseat Driver, young man.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. And still in one piece, by the way.
Still in one piece, yes. I did ride a bike once over. I was never a biker. I was somebody who rode a bike, and I discovered that I was better suited to four wheels than two. It's my inane sense of balance or lack of it on two wheels. I could never really get to grips with how a bike balanced. However, what brought all this on? Why does a 75-year-old suddenly decide it's time to hop a bike and head out across Europe?
Well, I would just start at the halfway point. I gave up a good job in the city to go travelling.
Yeah.
16 years ago, and I managed to go travelling quite a lot. Well, in fact, a very great deal. Up until about 2.5 years ago, and then health problems in the family confined me to base for those 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And as soon as those had worked through to their inevitable tragic conclusion, I was suddenly free again. And first thing I did was to get a ticket to the Channel Tunnel and start heading towards. There's only one country in Europe I haven't been to, Moldova.
You're right.
So,
nor have I. So if you get there, you've done something I haven't.
Well, there's a country, Moldova, and there's a disputed territory, Transnistria, and I wanted to get to them both.
Yeah.
And on the way, I could go through the Carpathian Mountains, and I have a couple of Romanian friends who are both bikers who have recommended 3 legendary mountain roads, which are very famous with bikers.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is in the summer, every bloody biker in Europe is so it's going to be a bit busy, I think.
Well, it's like I said before we went on air, I used to spend a lot of time driving around Europe and doing the mountain passes well before it became very fashionable. The only problem is now, it's like the M25 up certain Austrian passes and European passes. They're all out in their Lamborghinis, getting in everybody's way. So I think I have what you might call the golden time of doing it, although I do intend going driving up some more again, preferably out of season. But, I mean, there is something magical about these fantastic European roads, isn't there?
Yeah. And the difference is, I mean, I drive a car as well. I mean, almost all bikers do.
Yeah.
But with a on a motorbike, you're much closer to everything. You're much closer to nature. You've got the wind. Well, if you've got the hair left, wind theoretically in your hair, although obviously wearing a helmet. But it's a great feeling. There's a sense of flying that you get with a motorbike that you don't get with a car.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is there a history in your family of doing things like this, or are you the first one? Are you the first biker, or is it a family of bikers?
No, my brother and I were both keen bikers, but he had an accident in his 30s, and he stopped riding and never rode again. But I carried on. I mean, most of my riding was done from my home in West London into the city of London. Yeah. So until I retired, I'd rarely gone above 40 miles an hour. So I had to have some intensive training with the Metropolitan Police do training days for born-again bikers. Right. And I do one every year. Yeah. It's called Bike Safe. It's a fantastic service. Yeah. And they basically follow you, you follow them, they follow you for a whole day. They give you a debrief, they tell you what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. Yeah. And how you can have more fun, really, have more fun and do it more safely. Yeah. Because if you're not safe, you're not having any fun. It's nerve-wracking. bikes are very, very scary. But they're, well, they're seriously dangerous, but they are just absolutely fantastic pieces of kit.
I mean, I do look at bikers and some of the big bikes and the touring bikes and think how enjoyable it looks. But as I said, bikes and I were never destined to be good friends. It's a little bit like my grandfather was exceedingly keen on horn riding, and he put me on the back of a horse, and the only thing horses ever did was try and get rid of me. So four wheels and I are good friends, the rest aren't. But it always looks a very exhilarating thing. The only thing I will say is, when I've been on things like the Grosslochner and the Stelvio, I've always said to drive a car up these passes and these big mountain climbs, there is an art to doing it. And looking at bikers, I've seen a lot of bikers who I get the feeling are new to it. And on the Stelvio, and it's incredible tight hairpins, the number of them that fall off. I mean, I conclude you've had to teach yourself or learn how to ride these roads.
Yeah. Well, I have a very strong sense of self-preservation. They look like I'm a serious risk taker, and on one level I am. But I'm so far out. Touch wood. I've so far never gotten to drop on the hairpins. But that day might come, because as we were saying earlier, as you get older, your reactions slow down, and your sense of balance deteriorates as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not the skier I used to be, and a lot of people might say I'm not the biker I used to be.
Yeah. As regards skiing, the nearest I ever got to it was drinking Glühwein and Germknödels in ski huts. I've never, once again, it's something I've always looked at and thought, maybe I should have a go at that, but at 65 now I decided it's probably not the ideal thing for me to suddenly try and learn.
Yeah, well, I'm still skiing, but it's not what it was. It's because from being a means of enjoying the speed and exhilaration of careering down a mountain, it's become a way of getting from one cozy bar to another.
So, I mean, the BMW F800GT, was it a bike you had, or is it one that you thought about and went out, and did you check a few bikes out before you went for that one?
I took advice as I generally do, because I have a very humble view of my own expertise on a lot of matters.
Yeah.
And so I was telling you about the police training days.
Yeah.
On those guys ride 1200cc BMWs.
Yeah.
Box at the horizontally opposed pistons.
Yeah.
So I was admiring my instructor's bike and saying, this is the bike I want. We will really eat up miles. I can go and travel long distances. And he said, Doug, this is a fantastic piece of kit on the motorway. It's rock solid. If you're riding on clear roads, as we usually are doing Royal Escort duty and stuff like that, it's perfect. But if you're going to commute in London, if you're going to ride on twisty country roads, if you want to have fun, get yourself a mid-range sports bike.
Yeah.
And then and we talked some more, and he said, look at this one, this F800GT. He said, you're an old geezer, you don't want a big heavy bike, but you want something that's going to be, solid and reassuring on the motorway.
Yeah.
But which also is going to be fun in the curves. So he said, this is the ideal bike. So I bought it 2018. 2019, they discontinued it. I have no idea why. And I've still got the same bike. I'm still in love with it. It's still a fantastic piece of kit.
The one thing about BMWs is they are rock-solid build quality as a rule, aren't they?
Yes.
And where you are in Europe for a lot of the time, if you have a problem, I noticed on your Instagram page you did have a slight problem, you will have little problem getting things sorted out with BMWs.
Yeah. Well, in Europe, you're right, but in Africa, but I've done a lot of riding in Africa.
Yeah.
You want something as basic and simple as you possibly can. I mean, a very good friend who's an international motorcycle guide who I met when I was thinking of giving up riding, persuaded me to continue. An Iranian lady, she's an absolute legend. She persuaded me to carry on, but she said, in Africa, two things I can tell you. One, light is right, because on the African roads, if you're on a big heavy adventure bike, everybody assumes you need a Tenere or a Africa Twin, or adventure bikes that are made for the job.
Yeah.
Now, on African roads, you're going to trash the suspension, the clutch chain, the transmission, the brakes, everything's going to get trashed. And your not going to be able to find anybody who can fix it, and you're not going to be able to get the parts.
Yeah.
And as I went down through Africa 2.5 years ago, I saw that all the time, these big sophisticated Western bikes parked up by the side of the road, waiting for parts, waiting for somebody who knew how to diagnose problems with them. And I was on a little Chinese 125, just bouncing like that. And you know, if I didn't have a problem, but if I had problems, every kid on the street can fix those bikes, because that's what they all ride.
Well, I mean, I have driven in Africa. I've not spent a lot of time there, but I have been there. The tarmac roads aren't good, but a lot of the roads, it's like compressed dirt, and it's like a washboard effect, so it's guaranteed to they will shake big four-wheel drives to pieces. So I should imagine it's even worse for a motorbike.
Yes, and the worst roads are the ones that have been tarmacked, and then the tarmac's broken up.
Yeah.
So you're not just driving on dust and mud. Every now and then you hit the broken edge of a slab of tarmac, and it, obviously shakes your fillings.
Yeah.
And God knows what it would do to a heavy motorbike. But a little bike, you skip over it.
Yeah. And I conclude by saying that, besides the fact you've chosen what is a very suitable bike for European riding, how much thought do you have to give to the tyres? Because, for the sports car that I use, that I was going to start using again for touring Europe, I have looked into the tyres, and I have a particular model of Michelin that I favour. A lot of people don't give thought to tyres, and I've always said if you've no tyres, you've no contact with the road. And on a bike, even if it's got big tyres on it, there is only a small amount of it in contact with the road. So, did you study your tyres? Strange question, I know, but...
No, because I have to confess, I know absolutely nothing about tyres. So they had Mitsler racing tyres on. That's what it was provided with the bike when I first got it.
Yeah.
And I'd never had them before, and it seemed absolutely fine. I talked to my police instructor about it, and he said, well, that they have a very sort of minimal tread pattern. Yeah, not knobbly tyres. They're very smooth, rounded tyres that are designed with a sort of curve on them, so that they're easy to lean and lean back up again.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing, a motorbike tyre isn't designed to be, want better, flat on the road. The tread is like a virtual full semicircle, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's what I've got. I mean, for off-road and for African roads, I mean, on the little bike I had, it was different because I wasn't driving fast and taking curves at speed.
Yeah.
I wanted something that would bounce over the broken tarmac and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I had knobbly tires on that, off-road tires.
Yeah.
But that's as much as I know about tires.
Right.
So these are fine for tarmac roads, the ones that got the Meslers.
Yeah.
And knobblies were fine for Africa.
And the other thing is for European passes, the big alpine passes, and it's not something people give thought to, but there's a particular Ford information film on YouTube which, if they watch, could cause them cause for thought and cause for concern. Is to upgrade the brake pads and upgrade the brake fluid. Have you done any of that?
No. I've just taken the bike as it comes. I trust the bike. I've done 20,000 miles on it, which doesn't sound a lot when you compare it with the mileage we all do in cars, but on motorbike that's quite a lot. I've learned just that I trust the bike. I mean, I absolutely trust it. It's rock solid, and I trust myself, and that's not something that happens automatically. Every time after the winter that you get back on a bike, if you have this anxiety about your own ability, your own skills, and also where the bike, but it takes a while for the bike to start reassuring you that it knows what it's doing. Yeah. And it does. I mean, I've again, police instructor told me, he said that don't worry about leaning too far on the bike. Don't worry about what you should be doing. Just let the bike take the lead. Yeah. Because even if you fall off, that bike's going to stay upright and it's going to take every curve it wants to, and it's not going to tip over it because wheels have a kind of gyroscopic effect. Yeah. So no, I trust the bike. I mean, I'm no expert, and I wouldn't on mechanical matters, and I wouldn't presume to think I know better than the people who configured the bike in the first place. Yeah. I just accept it as it is. The European roads, I absolutely love it.
I mean, that's the one thing. If you can trust the bike, or in my instance, trust the car, it adds to the pleasure because you're not thinking what if, maybe, and looking at gauges and looking at warning lights. Because ultimately, you know, they're not going to come on. The car will do exactly what you want it to. It's up to you to make the car, or for you to work with the car, or in your case, work with the bike, which will bring you endless pleasure and enjoyment, and it will convince you, yes, you did buy the right bike.
Yes.
So when you do these trips, how much planning do you do?
Well, that's another thing I've learned. You can drive yourself mad with planning, and you're never going to find an answer to every problem that you can imagine arising. So eventually, again with my big Africa trip, and again with this one, I just sort of tore up all my planning and said, I'm just going to have to get on with it. Get on the bike, get out there, and if I have a problem, trust myself to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so far that's worked. I did a bit of work on visas in Africa. But obviously here there's not an issue with visas. The only visa issue I might encounter is through Moldova. I want to get into Transnistria, a breakaway Russian-speaking republic that's separated from Moldova, where Vladimir Putin already has 1,500 peacekeeping troops. To keep an eye on things. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get in there, but I've been on biker forums and people have said, well, it just depends. Sometimes you get in, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to turn up at the border, do a lot of smiling, and I mean, I think I look pretty harmless. I think that's what's true. I don't look like James Bond.
So Boris and Olaf will look at one another and say, what's this? I don't think this geriatric's going to be a problem to us. The other thing is, wave a few Western cigarettes about. They generally like those.
Yes, that's a thought. Yes. Yeah.
So I conclude back to Africa. Since a lot of the African countries don't get on with each other, I conclude that's where the visa problems will come.
That can be a problem, yeah. The borders are not easy, but almost always in Africa, if you have a problem, somebody will solve it for you for not very much money.
Yeah.
So as long as you're open-minded and you're prepared to deal with fixers at the borders, and you're prepared to buy a beer for the immigration officials, and thank them profusely for what they do to keep the borders safe. Just flatter them and give them the price of a beer, really, and that they're on your side. I mean, the thing I learned about Africa is that people are 99% and more of them are decent, kind, hospitable, generous people.
Yeah.
But as a European tourist, you're obviously going to attract the less than 1% who are not like that.
Yeah.
So people get a very false impression of Africa. People are generally good and generally helpful, and the immigration officials are not so much corrupt. They're terrified of doing something wrong.
Yeah,
because they've got a public sector job. It's a relatively comfortable position. They're paid absolute peanuts, though. But that they're sort of secure to an extent, and they're scared of their bosses.
Yeah.
So you just have to take that into account. They're not being difficult. You try and help them find solutions.
Yeah. That's the one thing I noticed, that everybody says it's corruption and bribery. I think they realise that if they are nice and helpful, a little bit of something will head their way, which will make their life a lot easier. And at times, you can give one of them, I know whether it's still the same, I don't know, but they used to like dollars, American money. For you and I to slip them $10 is nothing. To them, it's probably a month's wages.
Yes. But I used to think at the time, you tip a waiter in a restaurant for being helpful and giving you a pleasant time.
Yeah.
So why not tip an immigration official if he's if he's not being awkward? He's trying to work with you to find solutions to things which he could dig his heels in and say, I'm sorry, this is more than my job's worth. I'm go away.
Yeah.
Go back. No, I don't mind being a little bit generous, but the generosity I got back from African people was humbling.
Yeah.
On the 125, the oil contributes to the cooling.
Oh yeah,
and it breaks down. And in the African climate, it breaks down very quickly. So I was having to change my oil every 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And I promise you, 50% of the time, I'd stop by a little tin hut by the side of the road where a guy was doing oil changes and repairing punctures and that sort of stuff. And his basic bike maintenance. And at the end, I'd say, how much do I owe you? 50% of them said, no, I won't take any money from you. This is my contribution to your project.
Yeah.
And these are people with nothing. And the people with the least to give are the most generous, it seems to me.
Yeah. I know when I was there and people said, no, we don't want anything, as you said, I used to virtually insist, or I'd open the back of the car, and the one thing I noticed, kids love cans of Coke and Moist Boys. I conclude they must be either a rarity or very expensive out there, but they just loved cans of Coke and Moist Boys, and I always made sure I had quite a lot in coolies, and they loved it to bits. And the guy who'd done it for nothing, indirectly, I was giving him something, but not to him, and it brought a smile to their face as well.
Yeah, well done. Yeah,
but I conclude in Europe, all the travelling about. I mean, do you use, well, there's various like sat-nav systems now that are out there. Do you use any of those? Do you still use a good old-fashioned map? I always found the Michelin road atlases were fantastic.
Yeah. Well, here I'm using Google Navigation because it's just easy and it's universal and it works, and you don't need a sophisticated kit for it. You just have it on your phone.
Yeah.
In Africa, I use something called Maps. I used to read Maps for Me. Maps.me, there's now Maps.me, where you download maps to your phone.
Yeah.
And then it can work without an internet connection, because that's always a worry. And you cross the border and suddenly the SIM card you had for the previous country no longer works.
Yeah.
And it takes you a couple of days to find somewhere where you can buy a SIM card.
Yeah. So with the phones, what do you do? Do you have like a disposable phone or a pay-as-you-go and just keep changing the cards? Or do you just buy a new disposable phone?
Oh, I've just got the phone I use at home, and it's on a contract with O2, who are the only people who allow you complete roaming in Europe.
Yeah.
And then when I get to the few countries, so Bosnia, Serbia, Moldova, where O2's roaming doesn't apply.
Yeah.
Then you can buy these eSIMs.
Yeah.
So there's an app called Easy SIM, and you just say which country you're going to, tells you how much data you can have for how much money.
Yeah.
And you decide which one you want. You just download the eSIM to your phone. I mean, I'm not good at technology, but I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah. I'm going to say I'm the same. People have you got the app for this, app for that? No, I haven't, and I don't want it. So, Africa, we've discussed the potential problems. What are the problems in Europe and beyond? Because as time's going on, there's various problems seem to occur in Europe. I mean, what have you encountered and how have you got round them?
Well, I am fortunate to have an Irish passport, because my mother although she was born before Irish independence, she was born on the island of Ireland.
Right.
And that's enough for me to qualify for Irish nationality. Even though I'm born in England, I spent all my life in England. My father was English.
Yeah.
And that has made life easier.
Yeah. I
mean, at the Channel Tunnel, there were big queues. I was just waved through. And I arrived in France an hour and a half ahead of my schedule because I didn't have problems.
So ostensibly on your travels, you're an Irishman.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is something I've heard about before, is that. A friend of mine is dual. But what are the problems at the Channel Tunnel these days?
I don't know, because I've only heard that from friends who were going away at Easter that they were sitting in queues for 4 hours to get through.
Yeah,
I know there's a kind of teething process. I think things have got worse before they get better, because I think they're trying to make the process smoother and simpler.
Yeah,
and but the new systems they're putting in place, nobody's familiar with them, and all the bugs aren't out of them yet.
Yeah,
and that's what the problem is. And I think it will become easier for Brits before too long.
I mean, it's one of those things I cannot. Well, they always say we're making it easier, and immediately red flags in my mind. No, you're not. You'll be making it more complicated. But as to why they're doing this, I honestly do not know, because such like as you and I going to Europe, invariably, yes, it could be for business, it could be for pleasure, but we're not doing anything untoward while we're there. It's just let us in, and 2 or 3 weeks later we'll go home again. But they seem hell-bent on making life very complicated. Flying these days is getting worse and worse. and I'm no fan of flying. That's why I like to drive. If I'm going to Europe, I prefer to drive because you get to see things. And you'll have noticed this yourself. Unless you're going a long distance and you want to get there quickly, stay off the autobahns, stay off the péage, use the little roads, see the old towns.
That's exactly what I did today. I instructed Google Maps to avoid tolls. And of course, in Austria, that you have to have a vignette to use the motorways. Yeah. It's technically a toll road. So it avoided all the motorways. And I came through some beautiful country roads today, through pine trees and up and down hills and up twists and so on. It took me about an hour and 20 minutes longer than if I'd used the motorways. But, you know, coming down from England through France, through Germany, and through the first part of Austria, and also through Belgium and Luxembourg, I was absolutely bored senseless with the motorways. I mean, they're just, you know, motorbikes are supposed to be fun. They're for driving on twisty country roads. That's what's fun. Sitting on the motorway, you know, with a Porsche up your backside, you know, just sort of, you know, trying to urge you forward, because you on a motorbike, you be careful to leave quite a decent stopping distance between you and the car in front. You know, that's on the front to a German in a big powerful car. You've got to close up on the car in front, or if not, he's going to overtake you on the inside. Invade your stopping space, so you know, your braking space.
Do be careful. I have two sports cars. One of them's a 911.
Another thing I have learned from my police training days is never let yourself lose your temper. You know, if however stupid somebody is, just count to 10, pull over into the inside lane, and wait until your anger subsides before you get back into properly into gear. So that's a discipline I forced on myself, because I did, like most old men, I'm pretty irascible. It doesn't make me lose my temper.
I think one of the problems is, a lot of the time for bikers or with bikers, you get the guys on the sports bikes who want to go like a complete idiot all over. And I think that's possibly where decent bikers get a bad reputation, and they're nothing to do it, because many bikers who are touring, like yourself, the journey is part of the pleasure. They're not bothered about doing 150 miles an hour.
Exactly, and they're not bothered about trying to impress people. They're living their lives for themselves, not for an audience. And that's important. And you see these young tearaways, and yes, they let the whole side down. You know, they people assume that bikers are all young tearaways. In fact, if you come up and when you sit at the lights, look at the biker parked next to you, chances are he's going to be certainly over 50. Because under 50, the insurance companies are making it pretty clear by the way they calculate their premiums that they don't want young riders. So motorcycling is pretty much an old man's game. There's a lot of white hair and bald pates when people take their helmets off.
I know I once read something, and I've seen it elsewhere, that there are a lot of older people coming back to biking. Why?
Well, I know in London why, because if I go out in my car in London, 9 times out of 10, I join the back of a queue of traffic. I don't know if it's going to be 10 minutes or 2 hours. So the car is a liability. Whereas on a motorbike, I can just glide up the outside, which is, you know, filtering is permitted. In England, it's completely legal. In Germany, it's not. You know, I have to sit in the traffic. But I've asked other bikers, you know, why am I sitting? You know, why do I have to sit when there's a clear bit of road? I can just go up the outside and put the lights at the front. And they said, well, it just depends. Most policemen these days, if you look serious and responsible, will let you do it. But technically, you shouldn't.
So are there any other
independence, the freedom that bikes give you that cars don't?
Are there any other rules and regs in Europe that don't apply to England or are different to biking in England?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, turning right at the lights, which would be the equivalent of us turning right at the lights. You can do that on in some countries. You can do that on a stop sign, but I wouldn't know which ones they are. I just follow the curls in front, and on some of them, even when you've got a green light, you still have to give way to pedestrians. When you're turning off the main road, because you know, pedestrian moving in a straight line is actually another road user. You're cutting across them. So you've got a green light, which doesn't say you own the road to turn right, or in our country, it would be turning left.
Yeah.
It says you are free to do it, but you've got to still watch out for other road users.
Right.
So there are little wrinkles like that.
I know in Italy, especially in the cities, Milan especially, if you want to turn right or left at a set of traffic lights, you pull into a side road the traffic lights before and run down the outside of the main road, and it's from that lane you turn left or right. You don't turn left or right from what you might call the main carriageway. And that's a very, very... Until somebody tells you, you wonder why you can never manage to turn right or left until somebody says, no, you go into that one, the traffic lights before, and then you can do what you want to do. Well, I suppose it's like in France. You look for the sign that tells you the car merging from the right has priority over you. You have got to give way to the car pulling out of the side street.
Yes. Yep, priority à droite. Yeah. Priority to the right.
Yeah.
There's no markings that the guy coming from the right's got priority over you.
And there is a little sign somewhere on one of the light posts that will tell you this. You've just got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like that you found in Europe?
No, not really. I mean, I think if you just relatively humble and don't assume that that everything's the same wherever you go, watch what other people are doing and don't throw your weight around. Don't insist on your priority.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, bikes, again, this is something drummed into all the way through training with bikes. You're so vulnerable that you're constantly on the alert for what other people might do, and whether they're allowed to do it or not. You're still watching for people pulling you out of side roads. And, because you hit them, they're gonna damage a couple of body panels. You're going to break your neck.
Yeah.
So you're always cautious if you're sensible.
Yeah.
I don't want to be terrorists.
Do you find that Europeans have a different attitude to bikers?
Good question. I think there's an assumption in England that bikers are young and poor.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the exact opposite of the reality. But I think in certainly in Germany, it's so much more of a hobby.
Yeah.
For normal people that people do. Everybody's got a brother or a husband or a father who rides motorbikes in the summer at least.
Yeah.
We don't have the climate for motorbikes, but continental Europe.
Apart from now.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I have noticed when I've been in Germany and Austria, excuse me, the Germans do have a liking for the big BMWs, the big Harleys, the Indians, and the other thing that they seem to like are the trikes, which seem, if memory serves, are like Honda Goldwing based.
Yes. Yeah, I don't understand that really, because it seems to me it's the worst of both worlds. You can't filter, you can't cut your way through get round queues in it.
Yeah.
And yet you're you're still vulnerable. You're still exposed to the weather. But those are the prices you pay for being maneuverable and being able to have this sense of flying. You wouldn't get that on a three-wheeler.
No. And you were saying earlier on about Africa. Do you do this apart from your sheer personal pleasure? Do you do it for any reason? Do you do it for charitable cause or anything like that? And what's your family's view on all this?
No, I mean, my wife founded and runs a small charity, and I've tried to, my last big Africa trip, I tried to, a lot of people were following me.
Yeah.
I tried to encourage them to make a contribution to her charity, but they didn't. I mean, it's very hard to get an English person to part with their money.
The trouble is, these days, we haven't got much to part with.
Well, I think well, that's true, yeah. I mean, the thing is, when all this internet stuff came in, everybody was asking for charitable sponsorship things, and to start with, it was a bit of a novelty. And you say, yeah, I'll give you 25 quid, if you write John Grace to Land's End or whatever, I'll so on. But now people are just deluged with requests for charity.
Yeah.
And the other thing they're deluged with is requests to give reviews of every damn thing you do, everything you buy. Everywhere you go, every restaurant you go to, every shop you go to, everything you buy online, how did we do? Please, we value your opinion.
Yeah. So in that case, you'll have to photograph your breakfast, dinner and tea and everything else, won't you? You do see a lot of the youngsters with their phones, and everything is documented and photographed. And some of them now have got to the stage they will contact a hotel as such like and say, I'm such a body, I'm a famous influencer. I conclude if I come and stay, you won't charge me. And they take great offence when they get told, no, you'll be being charged.
Yes.
So what's the charity that your wife runs?
It's called Refugees Welcome Hounslow.
Yeah.
So we live in Chiswick in West London, and that's in the London Borough of Hounslow.
Yeah.
And Hounslow, a lot of there's particularly from Syria and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
There are and the difference between a refugee and an asylum seeker is a refugee has either been invited by the British authorities to resettle in the UK,
Yeah.
which is the case with a lot of the Afghans who worked with the British services,
Yeah.
whose lives obviously are at risk because they regarded as collaborators, or that they have skills that we want them to use.
Yeah.
So these aren't the people who are across the channel. These are people on resettlement programs who most other countries are quite supportive of them in terms of giving them language skills and trying to integrate them into society.
Yeah.
But we're not very good at that. So basically, what my wife does, she just supports them with friendship and advice, and it's all volunteers. Nobody's paid. It's all it's all just people giving their time for nothing. And a lot of people chip in, and the Home Office chips in, the Metropolitan Police chip in because they want these people to integrate, and of course language skills are important as well.
Yeah.
And just knowing how these work in England, these people come from totally different societies.
Yeah.
They have different assumptions, so that they can settle and that their kids will become useful citizens rather than radicalized because they feel that they're not welcome.
Yeah.
So it's welcoming these people and turning them into people who are proud to be British.
Yeah.
Rather than people who are going to make trouble because they feel they're treated badly.
Yeah. That's the one thing I've always noticed about countries like Germany and Austria. At times it tends to be discouraged in this country, but they are intensely proud of their country and of their heritage, aren't they? I mean, you'll see like the Austrian flags. And in Germany, the regional flags fly everywhere, don't they? Where in this country, it's frowned upon.
Yes, that's true. And our flags have been hijacked by people with extreme views.
Yeah.
The St. George's flag is I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even on St. George's Day, putting a flag outside their house.
Yeah.
In case people assume that they're a member of some extreme right-wing organisation. It's a shame, really.
Now, when do you anticipate getting back from your current travel?
Well, it's open-ended, but I do want to meet up with my wife and my two daughters and their families in Croatia on the way back. So they're going to be there at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
So over the next not much more than 2 weeks, I want to ride the legendary roads in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania.
Yeah.
I want to go to Moldova, just spend a couple of nights there. I want to try to get into Transnistria and see if I can spend the night there.
Yeah.
And then I'll feel I've achieved something, and then I'll just go straight back across through Hungary and Bosnia, into Croatia, and spend a week with them. But then once they've gone home, then I'm the free agent. I can just take my time coming back from. I'll just gradually work my way back. I might go and see a friend in Paris. Yeah, I might spend a week in a language school in Italy because I used to speak Italian very well, and I've lost that. While I'm here and mobile, and I've got nothing to go home for, nothing to drag me home. Yeah. Apart from the comforts of home. But you might have seen my theory. I've been talking about eternal youth and longevity. Every day you spend at home, you get a day older. Yeah. Every day you spend going to new places, meeting new people, doing new things, the clock stops for that day. Yeah. Every day that you go to new places, meet new people, do new things on a motorbike, you get a day younger. Yeah.
By the time you get to the end of a day, do you find you creak off it? Do you find it harder to get off it or anything like that? Do you get off and think, oh, thank God for that?
Well, there are two things working. I mean, when you're 75, you sort of physically, you do get a bit creaky, and you get things sort of start to hurt a bit, and being in a sort of cramped position all day is has its downside. But when I do off the bike, I do a lot of walking. I try to walk 6 miles a day. Yeah. But once I'm off the bike and I have some walking, and also. The exhilaration you get from riding a bike. If you enjoy riding a motorbike, that exhilaration stays with you. Like, when you've been to a party and you've been doing karaoke and you've been dancing on the tables and you've been, you're pumped up. Yeah. So and that you don't notice the aches and pains so much when you've got that when you're pumped up.
And what comes next when you eventually get back home? I got the feeling that you'll be itchy to do something else.
Well, actually, this is a bit of a compromise, this trip, because having dealt with the issues that have kept me at home for all those from those 2.5 years, and being free again, two big and inspired by the Iranian lady that I mentioned, this international motorcycle guide, who's been an inspiration to me. I wanted to ride to Shanghai. Oh yeah, but the only feasible route really is through Russia. Yeah, and so that's out of bounds at the moment. And then the other one is Sri Lanka. Yeah, but that means going through Iran. And you probably know a couple of elderly bikers who were arrested there, and they're just being held as bargaining chips. Yeah. So the Nasa, the Iranian motorcycle guide, being Iranian, up until about 18 months ago, she was saying to me, "Don't worry about Iran. Everybody will tell you how dangerous it is, but I'll get you a minder to meet you at the Turkish border, stay with you all the way to the Pakistan border. Yeah, and he'll keep you out of trouble. He'll be someone who's got pull, pull string and so on. So you won't have problems." But 18 months ago, she phoned me up and said, "Just forget it. Yeah, it's a no-no." Yeah. So by the time those countries open up, I'm probably going to be 80. I mean, I do hope I will, but...
So you might still be doing it, but it could well be a mobility scooter instead.
That's a possibility.
Now, if anybody wants to follow you, your Instagram page is Granddad, and you have a website which is allthews.polarsteps.com.
Yes. The Polar Steps is a sort of public website. Anybody can post on it. Yeah. It's also an app, so it's an app or a website. And all you have to do is go onto the app or go onto the website and look up my name, Christopher Allsop, 2 L's, 1 P. And it'll show you some of the stuff I've done.
And your Instagram page, you were saying you're quite new to this, aren't you?
Oh, I haven't got a clue. It's all total mystery to me. My son started doing this on Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday. It's now Monday, so it's been going for 6 days. I can't make head or tail of it. So he's kind of like my agent. He tells me what he wants from me. I provide it. He posts it on Instagram for me, and then I try to interpret what's going on, but technology is not my strong suit. He's 30 years younger than me, 5 years younger than me, and he understands this stuff. But my grandchildren, some of whom are another 25 years younger than him, understand it even better. I mean, they're completely fearless. They'll just sit down with the phone or the computer and figure things out. After 5 minutes, I'm throwing the phone for
Well, you can blame him for this, because I saw you popped up on my feed this morning. I thought that looks interesting, so I sent a tentative message, little expecting that 5 hours later we'd be conducting a WhatsApp video call and we'd be recording your Backseat Driver interview. So I conclude your son will be happy at the end result currently.
Well, he said, I don't know. He says it's been fantastically well supported and received. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. This isn't whether this is normal or good or what, but he tells me it's very, very good. Yeah. So I suppose I should be pleased that I didn't do this trip to get attention. I guess all these young tearaway bikers. I often feel like stopping them in the street, and saying, I'll give you a bit of advice that I was once given: live your life, for yourself, not for an audience.
Yeah.
You know, you drive around making a whole load of noise, getting in people's way. You let us down. You make yourself look like an idiot. Nobody's impressed. And so it's not really part of my nature to live my life for an audience. But if people are interested, well then it's flattering. But I don't know why. I'm just a silly old so-and-so who's taking stupid risks. But that's one thing that I do feel quite strongly. People, when they're young, take risks.
Yeah.
When they've got so much to lose, they've got their whole life ahead of them, and they could end up in a wheelchair or worse by doing stupid things. What have I got to lose? I'm 75. You look at what the future holds. It's not terribly encouraging. I mean, I'd rather go out. Well, somebody said on the Instagram thing, I'd rather die on my feet, or in my case, on my motorbike than live on my backside or on my knees. I just you get one life. You got to do stuff with it.
Yeah.
And when you're retired, you've got an opportunity that other people don't have, and to fritter it away watching TV and playing golf and all the things that my friends and contemporaries, I just don't get it. Well, they're now, the guys who did take risks are now extremely risk averse.
Yeah.
But why should they be risk averse? What have they got to lose?
Yeah.
Because it could end tomorrow when you're at the age I am.
Yeah.
So you wake up with some symptom. You go to the doctor, and he says, "Well, sorry, you're toast."
Yeah.
But it's too late.
On that note, Chris Allsop, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
That's encouraging, Luke.
Well, let's put it this way. I met a friend of mine on Saturday who wants to come on the show, and he commented, "We'd better be quick." I said, "Why?" He said, "I've 2 years left."
All right.
So you think, which exactly sums up exactly what you've just said.
Yeah.
So you never know. And between 60 and 70, they call it Sniper's Alley, don't they? You've managed to pop out the other end. But once again, Chris Allsop. Hey.
Can I just say one more thing? Because one of the first questions you asked, I didn't really fully get around to fully answering. You're saying what is a history of motorbikes in my family. I got into motorbikes at the age of 16 and immediately absolutely loved them. And my father was terrified. He'd never ridden a motorbike. He didn't want anything to do with them. He said to me, "Look, if you give up all this motorbike nonsense, I will buy you a car." Is that a deal? So this was 1967. He bought me a 1932 MG Midget, J2 MG Midget. They only made 2,000 of them.
Yeah.
Beautiful little car. Paid £75 for it. 3 years later, I sold it for £75, and I thought, I've had a result. I've had 3 years free motoring.
Yeah.
If I had that car today in decent condition, it'd be 50,000 quid.
Oh, and the rest. Yeah. I've done the same. I once sold a Jag for the £900 I paid for it and thought I was on a winner. They're now fetching about 65 to 70,000. Once again, Chris Allsop, enjoy the rest of your journey. I can
journey, the motorbike journey, or my journey through what remains of my life.
Well, both. I hope you get to Croatia on time. I've been to Croatia. It's a beautiful country. And enjoy your ride back via Paris, one of my favourite cities.